Man, oh man, did Week 12 bring the fireworks. Welcome into Game Day Recap. Haley Sutton here. So excited to be back with the fellas who we'll introduce you to in a minute. But first, take a look at some of these scores. First and foremost, Shedeur Sanders, welcome to the NFL. He snaps like a 50-year streak of quarterbacks in Cleveland getting wins on their opening start. We're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders in just a minute. The Kansas City Chiefs, my goodness, got me stumbling over my words. Patrick Mahomes, inevitable again. We'll talk about their playoff hopes. Right now, they're on the outside looking in. How could I forget my Dallas Cowboys outlasting the Philadelphia Eagles? We got so much to talk about, so let's head on over to the desk and meet the crew. Got a little bit different flavor today. Pete Prisco, as always. We start with our man across the way. We've got our GM, Carthon. And we've also got Logan Ryan, two-time Super Bowl champ, hopping in for Damian Harris today. Fellas, good to see you. Welcome back. How was last week? I'm sure you guys missed me so much.
No, you welcome back. We've all been here.
I know. I took a little hiatus.
Intro in Spanish now or no?
Hola.
Okay.
Mi amo es Haley. Donde es América? Pero visitar España last week.
Wow.
Not bad, not bad.
Give it to her.
Okay.
Duolingo, shout out.
My glasses are fogging up over here. Let's get the conversation started with the Kansas City Chiefs, guys, because my goodness, did they really get some things in perspective here. It was a crazy one, and they were playing the Colts, and we kind of expected this to go one way or the other. Pete, I'm going to lob it over to you here. What stood out to you about what the Kansas City Chiefs were able to do today?
Well, when Patrick Mahomes had to make plays, Patrick Mahomes made the plays. And this had been a guy last week, didn't play very well against Denver. Remember, he turned the ball over in the red zone, missed some shots down the field. And I even said during the week, this has to be, it was like Michael Jordan when he had an off night. It's time for Michael Jordan to be Michael Jordan again. When he had to be, he was Michael Jordan again. He made a lot of throws in key moments in one-on-one situations and hit those shots. And for them to be who they are, he has to be that, and he was that.
Well, for me, it's that they not only did they come back and get a win, and especially what Pete just said in terms of Patrick Mahomes making plays when he had to, but he finished this game without a touchdown pass.
Right.
And they were still able to. But, of course, Pete, I'm going to shout out the running backs. Kareem Hunt, 30 carries, 106 yards. When was the last time we had a 100-yard rusher out of that Kansas City backfield? And we've been talking all year that someone in the backfield has to do something to create these short yardage situations and to have the threat of the play action pass to throw the ball downfield for Patrick Mahomes. And today the running backs came up huge.
Nothing like you applauding a guy who averaged 3.5 per rush.
Listen,
and he lost a fumble, by the way.
Listen,
come on.
It does not matter. All you need is the threat of the run game, and which is what they had. It was the threat, and those linebackers and linebackers today around the league, there were about 5 or 6 guys that had 14 or more tackles today, including in this game, Jermaine Pratt finished the game with 20, and his running mate, Zaire Franklin, had 14.
And I know you love Bolton as well, the linebacker, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, the Chiefs kind of look like the Chiefs we saw from the last couple of years. And look, the Chiefs have been a dynasty, all right? And I played in a dynasty in New England Patriots, and we were blowing people out in our dynasty.
Humble brag.
The Chiefs,
Humble brag.
people out. The Chiefs were the one-score winners. That's how they do. That's how they've done their dynasty, close games, and they've been so good over the last few years. This year, 0-5 in one-score games. Well, this is their first one. Now they're 1-5, right? And Mahomes kept it close down the stretch. You talk about the running back, but I'm going to talk about Rashee Rice. Go-to guy. We knew when he came back things were going to explode, but he had 8 for 141 today. And he had all the big catches down the stretch when you decide to punt the ball back to Patrick Mahomes and not play for the win. You punt it back to him. He finds Rashee Rice down the stretch to do what they got to do to end up walking off there.
And there was one point late in the game as we were all sitting around watching, and Mahomes scrambled, made a big throw over the middle, and Logan looks like, man, it's those damn Chiefs.
He did
I got PTSD so many times.
Let's keep the conversation with Patrick Mahomes, because we know that he's been very vocal in saying that this has not been the year that any of them expected it to. But this was the largest fourth quarter comeback win of his career. He avoids a three-game losing streak ever in his career. Rand, when you think about what he has had to do this season in this game specifically to get them past the Colts, what impresses you about what he continues to do each week?
I mean, I'll be honest that we're at the point of Patrick Mahomes where we expect greatness every time he steps out on the field. We expect, whether they're down 10 or 14 in the fourth quarter, this is the one group, this is the one quarterback where you say, okay, there's a chance they could win the game, even if it's 5 minutes left in the game and it's a 2-score game. And we talked about it earlier just in terms of them coming into this game 0-5 in those 1-score games, in risk of being able to lose 3 games in a row, which has never happened, like you said, and they found a way to win the football game. And that's all you need. You called it earlier. November's here.
Yep.
The season has officially started, and this is where things ramp up, and this is where you're going to see the best Chiefs football.
And we even talked earlier, too, something that we're going to get into a little bit later as well, but the game on Thursday coming up between the Cowboys and the Chiefs, playoff implications for sure on the line, early expectations in that game from the Chiefs side of it.
It's a massive game now because of what the Cowboys did as well in winning. And if the Chiefs don't win today, their playoff odds are extremely low. And if Cowboys lose today, I mean, their playoff odds were essentially 0. But now with both these teams winning this Thursday matchup, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes on Thanksgiving, it's going to be massive because both these teams, they can't afford any more losses. They can't afford any more drops, right? They're playing playoff football now. So to have that matchup on CBS on Thursday, I think is going to be huge for the viewers. And I think it's going to be pretty fun to watch because both those offenses down the stretch, Dak having the ball with those receivers, Patrick Mahomes having the ball with Rashee Rice and his receivers, I think it's going to be fireworks.
We need to get a time check on this game, win this game, because I'm going to plan my dinner around watching this game because I want to make sure I'm not dozing off
You
while
don't
this
do that
game's-
every year?
Yeah.
That's like a staple in my household. You wake
You
up.
won't. Your wife will plan the dinner, and you'll be there to show up when she tells you to be
Fair.
there. Come on, you know better than that. No, look, the thing about Patrick Mahomes, in the first half, he had 14 completions and only 114 yards. It was all dink and dunk, and checking the ball down. In the second half, he had 15 completions for over 200 yards. When you say he's back to being Patrick Mahomes, he's back to being Patrick Mahomes. He hit those crossers, and Rice turned a bunch of those plays in, but he found the one-on-one opportunities, and he hit those. Look, he served notice to the rest of the league today. Hey, guys, don't forget about me, and you do not want me in the playoffs. One flaw, though, I still continue to see with the Chiefs. No sacks. They do not rush the passer well enough. They have to get that going down the stretch.
When you look at the rest of the schedule, we just talked about the Cowboys games, but after that, they've got the Texans, the Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. How much will that defensive side of the ball be an impact down the stretch here?
Well, it has to be. I mean, particularly starting this week when you play the Cowboys. I mean, you play the Cowboys, you're going to have to play good defense. They can score. We know that. Texans aren't great on offense, but they will have Stroud back. The Chargers game is essentially, in my book, down the road is going to be an elimination game. I think one of those two teams goes in that game. Whoever wins that game is going to be eliminated, I think, because the Chargers play a brutal schedule. And then the Broncos, you know, that's always a tough game. You're going to have to play well. But there aren't a lot of great offenses on that list there when you look at it. But playoff time, you know you got to rush the passer.
And Mahomes, to me, like, when I go back to him real quick, he's not always great in the first half. Like, there's so many times we see him behind, but it's his comebacks. When it gets limited possessions down the stretch, I was asked earlier this week, do people still fear the Chiefs, right? And I don't think as a player, as a coach, GM, we ever said fear. You always respected the Chiefs. Because when Mahomes has the ball at Andy Reid in the final 4 minutes of a fourth quarter and your quarterback has a possession and you have a fourth down, you got to decide, are we going to go for this or are we going to punt the ball back to Mahomes with 2 timeouts and live to see what happens? And today was the first time he did it this season where he was able to execute that drive. He's done that his entire career, but he got back to it, drove the full field against the Colts. And I think that's a respect that I don't care if you're the New England Patriots in the first round of the playoffs or second round. You're saying, hey, man, do we want to punt the ball back to Mahomes? We've seen this story time and time again, and that's the respect that he's earned around the league in his career so far.
It certainly was. Today it took overtime, but Patrick Mahomes stands strong. They keep those playoff hopes alive. Got to hit a break here on Game Day Recap, but when we come back, it is my favorite subject. The Dallas Cowboys giving everyone a heart attack, but they come away with a win, taking down the Eagles. We'll take you through all the action next on Game Day Recap.